Ooh.
Oh, here I am. Boom! Hello. Welcome to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. I'm Thundercloud and washing away the garbage with lots of rain. Yeah, leaving rainbows after rain. Let's have some fun and linguistic games this Wednesday. Words. Yeah, Mum calls me Jones. Well, let's begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we broadcast today on this 20th of December 2023. The Kamilaroi Bambai people, to acknowledge the continuing connection to the land of those people and acknowledge sovereignties never been ceded. Alright, where am I going tonight? I wasn't too really sure where I would go tonight, and I decided on Faye Zwicky. Faye Zwicky was a Western Australian poet born in 1933, and she only passed away in 2017. She was also a concert violinist, so as well as amongst other things.
Highly thought of as a chamber musician.
Yeah. Anyway, I've got two lots of poems for her. Well, she was Jewish, by the way, so the first one's called Kadisk, that I'm going to be doing, and I have done that before. And then China Poems 1988. So to put that in perspective, we're going back well over 30 years there to when China was kind of starting to move towards opening up. And it was not long after that what was his name, Hu Jintao came in, and Deng Xiaoping was in at that time, yeah. Alright, anyway, so let's start with Kadisk. For my father, born 1903, died at sea, 1967. Lord of the divided, heal. Father, old ocean's skull making storm calm and the waves to sleep, visits his firstborn, humming in dreams, hiding the pearls that were behind Argus, defunct Melbourne rag, the wireless shouts declarations of war. Father, says the firstborn time around, and 9 years dead, weeping incurable for all his hidden skills, his country's medical journal laid him out amid sigmoid volvulus, light on gastric problems, health services. For young children, yesterday, today and tomorrow, which is now and now and now, and never spoke his name, which is father, a war having happened between her birth. His death, yisporach, viyistabach, viyispor, viyisroman, viyisnase. Hitler is dead. The Japanese are different. Let us talk of now. The war is ended. Strangers found you first, bearing love back. Your firstborn bears their praise into the sun-filled room. Hospitals you tended, city roofs and yards, ethereal rumours, Gray's Inn Road, Golden Square, St George's, Birmingham, Vienna's General, the ancient Alfred in Commercial Road, where tearing paper in controlled strips, your firstborn waited restless and autistic, shedding lives, hours, have to see a patient, wait for me, healing knife, ready as the firstborn girl to kill. Waited, echoes of letters from Darwin, Borneo, Morotai, Brunei. We thought him dead, but the little Jap sat up with a gun in hand and took a shot at us. The heat. A pressing fist, swamps, insect life. A wonderful war, said his wife, who also waited. But wait, for me, wait, understand, oh wait, between the lines unread. Your firstborn did not, tested instead the knife's weight. Let in the strangers first. Apart from his high degree of medical skill, he possessed warmth, enough to make broken grass live, rock, burst into flower. Then why was your firstborn cold? But listen again, it was impossible for him to be rude, rough, abrupt, shy virgin bearing gifts to the proud first and only born wife, black virgin mother. Night must have come terrible to such a kingdom, all lampless creatures sighing in their beds, stones waiting as the matted flew apart in sorrow, near, apart, fluttered, fell apart as feathered. Hopes trembled to earth, shaken from the boughs of heaven. By day the heart was silent, shook in its box of bone, alone fathered 3 black dancing imps. The wicked, the wise and the simple to jump in the house that Jack built. This is the priest, all shaven and shorn, who married the man all tattered and torn, who kissed the maiden all forlorn, who slaughtered the ox, who drank the water, who put out the fire, who burnt the staff, who smote the dog, who bit the cat, who ate the kid my father brought from the angel of death, never heard to complain, response to inquiry about his health invariably brought a retort, causing laughter. Laughter in the shadow of the fountain, laughter in the dying fire, laughter shaking in the box of bone, laughter fastened in the silent night, laughter while the children danced from room to room in the empty air. What ailed the sea that it fled? What ailed the mountains, the romping lambs, bought with blood, trembled earth before the Lord of crow and dove, who turned flint into fountain, created the fruit of the vine, devoured by the fox, who bit the dog, that worried the cat, that killed the rat, that ate up Jack, who built the house, Yizgadal, Yishkadash, Shmeh Rabo, miracle of seed, mystery of rain, the ripening sun and the falling flesh, courses of stars, stress from Sinai. Let, roared God, great big Babylon be eaten up by Persia, be eaten up by Greece, be eaten up by Rome, be eaten up by Ottoman, be eaten up by Edom, be eaten up by Australia, where Jack's house shook. Be, said Jack's dad, submissive to an elder, courteous to the young, receive all men with cheerfulness, and hold your tongue. Strangers, remember Jack, who did as he was told. To the goddess, the blood of all creatures is due, for she gave it temple and slaughterhouse, maker of curses like worm-eaten peas. As the thunder vanishes, so shall the woman drive them away. As wax melts before flame, so let the ungodly perish before her. She is mother of thunder, mother of trees, mother of lakes, secret springs, gate to the underworld, vessel of darkness, bearer, transformer, dark nourisher, shelterer, container of living and dead, coffin of Osiris, dark egg, devourer, engenderer, nurturer, nurse of the world, many-armed goddess, girdled by cobras, flame spewer, tiger-tongued queen of the dead and the violent dancers, mother of songs, dancer of granite, giver of stone, let his wife speak. Honour thy father and thy mother, so I have done and done and done. No marriage shall ever consume the black maiden head. My parents are heaven bound, I shall rejoin them. Bodies of men shall rejoin severed souls. At the ultimate blast of invisible grace, below I burn, Naomi of the long brown hair, skull in a Juliet cap. Do the dead rot? Then rot as I rot, as they rot. Honour thy father, sing armistice bells, espressivo. The stumbling fingers are groping to pitch perfection. I am that pitch. I am that perfection. Papa's a civilian again. Mother is coiled in a corset. Dispenses perfection with castor oil, tapestry, tablecloths, white, rectal thermometers, cerning and prunes, sonatinas of hummel. The white meat of chicken, the white meat of fish, the maids and the lost silver. Lord, I am good for nothing, shall never know want. Blinded, I burn, am led not into temptation. The home is the centre of power, there I reign, childless. 3 daughters, all whores, all should be devoured by the fires of Gehenna, should be dissolved in the womb that bore them, should wander the wastelands forever. Instead they dance. Whole towns condemn me. Flames from the roofs form my father's fiery image. He waves, laughs, cools his head among stars, leaves me shorn, without sons, unsanctified, biting on, bread of affliction. Naked I burn, orphaned again in a war. The world is a different oyster, mine. His defection will not be forgotten. Blessed be he who speaks of the 3 different characters of children whom we are to instruct on this occasion. What says the wicked one? What do you all mean by this? This thou shalt ask not, and thou hast transgressed, using you and excluding thyself. Thou shalt not exclude thyself from the collective body of the family, the collective body of the race, the collective body of the nation. Therefore repeat after me. This is done because of what the Eternal did for me when I came forth from Egypt. The wicked wants always the last word for all the good it does. Had I been there, I would not still be worth my redemption. Nothing more may be eaten. A beating will take place in the laundry, naked. Honour thy father and thy mother. What says the wise one? The testimonies, statutes, the judgments delivered by God, I accept. Nonetheless, though thou art wise, after the paschal offering there shall be no dessert. Honour thy father and thy mother. What says the simple one? Asks merely, what is this? Is told with might of hand. Did our God bring us forth out of Egypt from the mansion of bondage? Any more questions? Ask away and be damned. Honour thy father and thy mother. Yis borach, v'yis tabach, v'yis boar, v'yis roman, v'yis naseh, v'yis hadol, v'yis saeh, v'yis halol, shmeh dekutsho brichu. Praise death, who is our God. Live for death, who is our God. Die for death, who is our God. Blessed be your Faye, which is our God. Oseh shalom bim romov yu yaseh shalom. Olenu va'al kol Yisrael vimru Amen. And he who was never born and cannot inquire shall say, there is a time to speak and a time to be silent. There is a time to forgive and a time in which to be forgiven. After forgiveness, silence. I don't know what to say after that, but just breathe deep. It's just an incredible piece of poetry. It's just really amazing, actually.
And she's weaving together 4 traditional Jewish prayers. And expressing a lot of bitter scepticism behind them, as if she's about to go further, but then never does.
Well, she was brought up Anglican, and I don't think she ever gave up the Anglican rituals and dispensation. So, typical Australian story, religious-wise.
All right. Well, look, I'm going to move on to the next set of poems now, the China Poems 1988. So this is another 7 pages, so it'll take me a little bit of getting through. But they're in different, well, even that one was in different sections, so, all right. China Poems 1988, 1. Roosters and Earthworms. It's the year of the dragon. Omens for the journey aren't encouraging. No language and I'm booked. On China Airlines in Hong Kong, I dream that I'm born without a tongue and wake up screaming. I'm studying the 12 animal signs. Or did the revolution do away with them? Too frivolous, maybe. The Irish thinks there may be something in it. All the same, keep reading. Are you a sentimental but crafty rat, a dutiful ox, a smashing but unpredictable tiger, like me. I am a rooster. That's me too. Honest, frank, obliging, difficult to live with. Spot on so far. What's this? Vain, despotic, prickly about criticism? Perhaps there's nothing in it after all. Tradition has it that I'd find an earthworm in the desert. My best roles are military hero or clown. Not much to choose between them, but I'll settle for the later. Never liked the army much. The Irish rises up again. My worst is spy. I'm too conspicuous. Roosters don't mean to hurt your feelings. They simply like to let you know. Your food's inedible. Your hygiene's foul. Your creature comfort's nil. You're vain, despotic, prickly about criticism. Rooster celebrities include Catherine the Great, Colette, Copernicus, and Kierkegaard. The company's not improving. Marie de Medici, Strindberg, Queen Victoria, and wouldn't you know, Wagner. I'd better watch myself. Plenty of other roosters on the farm. Earthworms never grew on trees. This is where it all began. And I can relate to that because I'm also a rooster, so...
And me.
Yeah, okay, well... So what does that make you, 12 years older than me? Pretty much.
12 or 24.
Yeah, I'd be guessing 12. Yeah.
And because Chinese year goes into January, I make rooster, otherwise I'd have been a dog. It wouldn't have been much fun.
No, yeah, and that was the same. I was like, for the first 4 or 5 of, up until I was about 12, I thought I was a dog. And then I worked out that no, actually my birthday fell in the year of the rooster.
Yeah, until I started living in Singapore, I had no idea that the year was different.
Yeah. Alrighty-o. So number 2, out of this world. I'm in Beijing. When I was young, it was peaking. Fans and silk and lacquered screen. Sages playing chess in elegant pavilions on the flowery mountain. It's -4. The heating system thumped all night. The cistern trickled. At school we called it Chinese torture. Gave each other Chinese burns. China was a name to conjure with. When we were young, light years away, out of this world. It's 5:30 a.m. and I've been downstairs twice. Nobody there. Down in a vast reading room for students, I saw 2 dog-eared journals. China Reconstructs in a bookcase with glass doors. Not a book in sight. Someone left a Chinese newspaper. I can't read a word. Who am I here? The water taps are dry. The colours in my room bring back Australian holidays. Dead brown, grainless pub wardrobes. Kitchen green walls. Dun green felt carpeting. Under the bed with its embroidered pillow slip lie 2 plastic scuffs. They're also green. There's a tall red anodised thermos flanked by 2 sachets of coarse tea leaves. Rough as bonsaied mallee roots. 2 mugs with lids. Something square stands sheathed in black. Velvet and sinister in its corner, I lift a flap. A TV set. The antenna's a Chinese character inside a hoop of steel. 2 Diabolic little horns point upwards. Many knobs, a cord, no power point. I lift the phone. It buzzes like 1,000 swarming bees. I put it down. Don't look out the window yet. Try to deal with what's inside. At 6, the water starts. My bath looks like the Red River. I slumber in the river part of me, awake on the CA flight 309, marking before the symptom, if any now, fever, rash, cough, bleeding, psychosis, leprosy, AIDS. I've got them all. The river's still, becalmed above red sediment. Below the window, on a concrete path, a man in black stands motionless. Black gloves, black coat, a cap. Is he really standing there? Below my bathroom window? I look hard again, holding my breath. He's there all right. He's all alone. The dawn is rising red before him. He doesn't know or care that there's a frightened watcher following his stillness like a dream. But he's turning slowly now, slowly, like a dream. He turns and folds his hand as if in slowest prayer, first one side, then slowly to the other, light years away and out of this world. He isn't young. Poem number 3, Over the Wall. Today we go over the wall. The sun shines, the bus is small. We loose Australians pile obediently in. We laugh moderately. One of us is making a joke. We can't go overboard here. Later we'll go over the top of the wall when we get out. Our 2 guardians sit up straight, in Mao jackets up the front. Between them a neat pile of paper bags, our play lunch. We're diplomatic and attentive. I hardly recognise us. Far down the back sit students. They're quiet and gentle. They don't go overboard either. They may not get out until the visitors have left. The sun shines on. We climb the wall. The magic mountains better all our dreams. Their peaks raise it against an endless sky. Clearly, their painters invented nothing. Looked and recorded the chainless whetstone combs with maybe a man somewhere down in a corner, very small and very wise. We climb and look again. The eye oscilloscopes along and back. A student carrying my bag is watching me. She smiles. You like it here? How can I tell her I'm neither happy nor unhappy? How can I tell her that I've seen a man at the foot of these age's peaks, a man who has turned away, a man who is very small and very wise? She might think I was seeing things. Number 4, passing. Dreams are the suicides of the well-behaved. Do the Chinese have great and wonderful powers of forgetfulness? Or do they dream like anybody else? I met a man living in the same building as the man who killed his father. He refused to take the lift in case he met this man. He walks up 6 flights of stairs twice a day. The lift passes up and down slowly as he watches the iron cage. I dream a poor boy's dream of China, the story of silence, the men who pass his father's grave each day and walking raise their caps slowly without speaking. And then the last one, This one's titled Tiananmen Square, June 4, 1989. Karl Marx, take your time, looming over Highgate on your plinth, snow's falling on your beard, exiled, huge, hairy, genderless, terminally angry, piss poor, stuffed on utopias, and cold, cold as iron. I'm thinking of your loving wife, your desperate children and your grandchild, dead behind the barred enclosure of your brain. Men's ideas, the product, not the cause of history, you said. The snow has killed the lilacs. Whose idea? The air is frozen with theory. What can the man be doing all day in that cold place? What can he be writing? What can he be reading? What big eyes you have, Mama. Next year, child, we will eat. I'm thinking of my middle-class German grandmother, soft as a pigeon who wept when Chamberlain declared a war. Why are you crying, Grandma? It's only the big bad wolf, my dear. It's only a story. There's no end to it. The wolves have come again. What shall I tell my grandchildren? No end to the requiems, the burning trains, the guns, the shouting in the street, the outraged stars, the anguished face, the terror under ragged headbands, soaked in death's calligraphy. Turn your back, I'll say. Look hard. Move into that frozen, swarming scream. How far can you run with a bullet in your brain? And forgive, if you can, the safety of a poem sharpened on a grieving night. A story has to start somewhere. So that's that. Yeah.
Interesting. Right, what's the name?
Faye Zwicky. Yeah,
Right.
I've got her whole anthology over there as well, so in the library.
Oh, no.
Yeah. All right, Ashley, would you like to come up?
Would the professor prefer or?
Not at all.
Oh.
You, first in, first out.
Okay.
Well, poems generate poems. I wrote one tonight because of one I lived tonight in this little book of Jeff Page's. It generated a sad but true story, which I will read in a moment. Well, I have been reading The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli, a text for our TikToks. No, I haven't. I'm getting ready to read it. I've read it a few times in my life, but I'm rather obsessed by that moment in Europe that we call 1500. We still live in many of its shadows. My friends, all three of them, sombre wood. Hypothesis. Well, I suppose any thought of intentionality brings us towards a hypothesis. The implications of that thought and knowledge obviously are powerful things, and the parameters of the testing of it bring us every day to our triumphs and troubles. I read this poem by Jeff Page, and then naturally it created the short piece that I wrote tonight. A rather sad reflection. Anyway, the piece that I read was a fascinating poem that Jeff Page wrote of his time, I presume, on the Clarence, just down below us here when he was 5 years old. They came strung out one windy morning. Wirraways, 7 or 8 of them, banking in file around the downstream bend. I stood on a bluff outside our house and watched them pass. So close, I saw where brown met green and helmet heads turned stiffly in the perspex. The sound swung through the valley, jarred at the inert pools. Then the upstream turned to leave an echo dying, and me, just 5, still gazing at an empty river bend. And it brought to mind something involving, I don't know if I can quite read this, but the emotion comes upon me. It's called Darwin, 19th of February 1942. I had to look up the date in my cell phone, but it's apt that this poem should have such a point. Remembering how you left the bank, Mr. Thompson, went down the street towards the sandy water edge. Today's Darwin Park Memorial. Barrel out to sea like mouth and ear, carrying the news that the planes are raiding in. Recounting the zeros zipping overhead, meters above. Their eyes, their virile, proud warrior faces seen everwards. The bombs on tin and shed blasting behind you. Reaching your New South Wales bank. Mr. Thompson, I must be with my family. You struggled to hold her, the young cadet. From the escape into death, who vanishes into the direct hit of the post office door. It is she, and I, and you, and all her family, you say. How I struggled to hold the burst from my arms. All that I could, but she escaped me, but she wanted to die with her family. She must have known. Remembering how you left the bank, the whites of their eyes detonating at the edge of the furthest red circumference. Darwin's tropic weight sacrificed to clashing empires north and south and east. Yes, dear old Mr. Thompson. I took some of my students one day to Kookaburra Lodge, and that was the story. And I remember the boys looking at him with eyes wide open. Another poem of Page's, and then I'll finish with what a strange atmosphere as I stand here chortling Kookaburra Lodge had. An old age people's home on that vast hot plain of Walgett had a very curious atmosphere, unlike homes that I have visited and well may live in myself. Was quite different being out there in the whir of the Gamilaroi from long ago, their boomerangs crossing the shadow of the fence and window. The next poem Page wrote is Roadshow. Yes, how often James and I have known this moment, watching and peeking at its correlative bursting in the Aussie bush. Don't know about the professor, he grew up in a different ambience. Roadshow by Jeff Page. At the end of his act, the soft shoe possum, the spotlights hard upon him, danced one step and made a final bow. The Holden, however, not brought up to vaudeville, swept on, printing the bitumen with a whiskery gesture. Yes, crooning along, having that moment of the divinity where we speed from point A to point B, trying to make it forever point A. So Kurt Vonnegut tells us. And if anybody knew him, what did he say? His moment of transcendence was on the pickup of a locomotive. I will finish with a poem of dear old Robert D. Fitzgerald, who died near us here in the fascinating town of Glen Innes. And it has a relationship to some of the words that I uttered, and maybe even some of dear Faye Zwicky's chants and laments. Doesn't need a lot of comment, except it brings us the world out there of the far Pacific that we have never made enough of in our relationship with that world, economically and culturally. But Fitzgerald was a young surveyor there in the islands of Fiji, and he wrote this in 1956, and it has a perpetual tumbling, I think. This between us. Sleep at Lovo, old chief or warrior, once my companion, days and nights together. You in your mound, the long grass over you, I lying above the grass beside you. You did not chide my nearness, neither by day, my comings and goings and more impatient waiting. Stamping up and down, knee deep among weeds, beating the damp clay into a path at your head. Nor yet by night my less asleep than yours, where there we lay, the two of us under the hills. Nissera level behind us, great lonely weight of the night, empty between the hills over us, and Lovo stream at our feet, rattling, bubbling, boiling, as it does now, in your deaf ears, and my own ears remembering. Nameless, forgotten chief, I came so long after you through that gash in the range, Taginasola, meaning the stranger weeps, met by this pass as enemy. That my climbing, that sidling track between bared teeth of boulders, not fenced as once with spears, but difficult still, was to a place which enough years have changed, from just what ground you walked on who lie in it now, to surface that forgets and is other ground. There I could reach all things that those years hoard, but found nothing your thought might share with mine. And so your blood-splashed lifetime, your eating of men, your rights and loves, would have air and only lost, not to be entered in or understood or lit from within. Yet there is this between us, that your world which is gone, and my world going, are your darkness, the passing of what was, and mine blotting tomorrow's window pane, the passing of what is. Then comes the stranger. What mast on the sea, what sail, what smoke in the air, shouts from the beach, let the young men go down. The sun we knew sinks drowning beyond Yasawa. has a year for that, written in 1956. And as I read it, has a meaning for me, because the last words my father ever said to me were looking down into the pennykins of the Japanese troops he'd just defeated, eating each other to keep fighting him. And he started to talk of this and went into silence. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ashley. All right, in just a moment I'll call Gabriel up. I haven't personally written a hell of a lot this week, or even a heaven a lot either.
Write something about Mr. Thompson one day.
Maybe. So I've gone back into the year 2021 to pull out a few things that I've written that you might not have heard for a while. So, billy goats stink. A farmer mate told me why billy goats stink. So I sat and pondered and had a think. And this is a poem that came to me about why billy goats are all covered in their own pee. The old billy goat called to his wife, "Meh, come and give me a kiss, 'cause I smell nice. I'm an old billy goat covered in piss, all hot and horny, come and give me a kiss." Nanny goat came over and was happy to see that her old billy goat was all covered in wee. "I love you," she said. "You smell so fine. You make me so horny, covered in your own urine." They had a kiss because that's what they do. You'll never see a billy goat covered in poo, but you will smell a billy goat covered in piss. It's how he attracts his wife for a kiss. Billy and Nanny Goat had a happy home because Billy was covered in his own pheromone. For Nanny Goat, Billy Goat is such a charmer, but those billy goats stink terribly like piss to a farmer.
No, that's one of your best, that's fabulous.
So yeah, but the old billy goats, they yeah, that true story. The boy
What's
goats.
the last line again?
For Nanny Goat, Billy Goat is such a charmer, but those billy goats stink like piss to a farmer. Yeah, yeah. They just like if you ever get billy goat wool, it's just you can't do much with it. But Nanny Goat wool, it's all right. Apparently, I had some and it was just so strong. Okay. So this is a really short quatrain I've written, or comedic one. It's a play on words. Now the name is Ken and the surname is Great. Let that sink in. Ken Great. 2 Ken Greats lived in a town. One in the arts centre and the other far down. People got confused and sometimes irate, so they named the far one Fucking Great. Yeah. Tongue twister. 4 funky female frogs fried 5 freaky flies from frozen French fries for Friday's free fries. 4 fried freaky flies for 4 funky female frogs. The 5th fried freaky fly fed to a funny living fairy named Bob. Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, but then I've got like one more, which I will bring to you after Gabriel because it's quite a long one and it's about Peter the Pothole Plugger and our wasteful councils. All right, Gabriel Donleavy, come on up. Peter the Pothole Plugger.
once again, by happy coincidence, we can segue from James's last to my first tonight. My first tonight is called The Frog. Hilaire Belloc. And I'm mixing the light with the heavy, the happy with the sad tonight. And leave it to your various tastes to decide which is which. The Frog. Be kind and tender to the frog, and do not call him names, as Slimy Skin, or Pollywog, or likewise Ugly James, or Gabba Grin, or Toad Gone Wrong, or Billy Bandy Knees. The frog is justly sensitive to epithets like these. No animal will more repay a treatment kind and fair, at least so lonely people say, who keep a frog, and by the way, they are extremely rare. And the other Belloc one tonight is called The Microbe, rather splendid illustration of what 100 years ago they thought microbes might look like. The microbe is so very small you cannot make him out at all, but many sanguine people hope to see him through a microscope, his jointed tongue that lies beneath 100 curious rows of teeth, his 7 tufted tails with lots of lovely pink and purple spots, on each of which a pattern stands, composed of 40 separate bands, his eyebrows of a tender green. All these have never yet been seen, but scientists, who ought to know, assure us that they must be so. Oh, let us never, never doubt what nobody is sure about.
Show us the picture again. Very strange. It was a bit too quick in your first flash. For our beloved auditors, whoever they are. Perhaps our auditors are microbes. I don't worry if you can't find it.
Well, it's probably in the chapter. Yeah, 1:30.
It's funny how our ideas of parsing the cosmos change.
Oh, in a big way. Lots more to come.
Was that really it?
Oh,
Goodness.
Remarkable work of imagination, isn't
it is, isn't it? There, cool.
Next. Serbian poet I've read before called Vasco Pogba. 2 of his. One's called Nothingness. Nothingness, you were asleep and dreamt that you were something. Something caught fire, the flame writhed in blind agonies. You woke up, Nothingness, and warmed your back at the dream flame. You didn't see the flame's agonies, whole worlds of agonies. Your back is short-sighted. Nothingness, you fell asleep again and dreamt that you were nothing. The flame went out. Its agonies received their sight, and they too went out in bliss. Other one by him today, called Orphan Absence. You had no proper father. Your mother wasn't at home. When you saw the world in yourself, you were born by mistake. You have the figure of an abandoned abyss. There's a smell of absence about you. You gave birth to yourself. You run around with fiery sluts. You break your heads one after the other. You jump out of one of your mouths into another and give new life to the old mistake. Stoop down naked if you can to my last letter and follow in its steps. I have an idea, orphan child, that it leads into some sort of presence. I like the way it implies there's something dreadful just round the corner. I'm not going to tell you what it is, both of those. Now, one of my favourites, Yevtushenko. This is called Waking. Waking was then like dreaming. Waking then was like a lonely dream. In this cottage, in this settlement, thinking. Time to go and pick mushrooms, and ruffling your hair to wake you, and kissing your eyes open. All this each day a new discovery. We stayed on at the settlement for a month. Gardens, chirping birds, the meadow paths winding among the wheat, tense creak of the floorboards underfoot. And when we cut the sunflower into two, there was no need for special explanations. When, under the presentiment of dawn, we ran down into the river, gudgeon tickle your feet in those reaches, there was no place for complicated questions. At first it didn't seem a mystery, incapable of human explanation, that you lay dreaming in the night beside me. I thought it due from a just destiny, that every morning was my rendezvous with you, which never could or would be broken, and how I flattered myself from time to time with proving to myself nothing in you could be unknown to me. You don't belong to the mind's calculations, and you disproved each of my demonstrations, since to be unexpected is your truth. You came to me never with what I knew, never the day's familiar repetitions, but new beginnings and your new surprise. We felt no quarrel on that droning flight, and yet there was a presence, moving around us circle by circle, flying with us and measuring up on us. That's another one where there's something strange implied and you don't quite know what it is. And lastly, I wrote one because I see a lot of YouTube when I'm resting at home and not doing accounting chores for the university, and I look at near-death experiences. I look at how 2012 completely changed the part of the New Age, that's astrology, and you remember the old musical Hair from 1967-68, and one of the songs in there was Good Morning, Starshine. Well, since we discovered that there's a black hole in the middle of the galaxy, the New Agers have decided that the real astrology is other galaxies, and that some of us are seeded in our souls from nearby stars. And so they give you a series of personality traits, just like the old regular astrologers do. So if you're like this, your soul probably came from Vega, Andromeda, etc. So this is a fine new line of bullshit. And at the same time, I'm looking at the psychotherapy ones that have also got New Age overtones. And one of the biggest ones on the internet is a very attractive woman who's also very thoughtful, called Teal Swan, presumably not a real name. And she loves to tease the audience by saying, on the one hand, you must raise your vibration, of course, and make yourself better. On the other hand, don't grumble when the law of attraction doesn't bring you what you want, because it means you haven't grasped the reality of all your traumas and hurts and how bad the world really is. So she likes to play both ends off against her as the middle. And one of the things that the whole study of psychology and the whole New Age have in mind is the idea that you've got to deal with your quote-unquote inner child in order to be whole and healthy. And I've often thought there, well, really? So I've written one which is about that, and it's another one of mine where I'm going to have to do some work, but here's the first version, and this is called Dolorosa. The child inside my outer mind is frightened, cold and hurt. and hurting in this version. To peace and joy, she's always blind, with laughter never flirting. Sometimes I take the Webb's advice and speak softly to the baby. I think I noticed once or twice she's tempted to say maybe. And when I talk with her again, she never seems to change, always cowering, crying, deep in pain, and ever out of range. Some gurus' bland words make me wild. They say we have to heal the hurt stuck in our inner child. I say to that, get real. The inner child is outside time. She's well beyond our reach. It's true of yours, it's true of mine. And since we can't practice, let's not preach. Maybe she will go away when pain itself has died. Meantime, she's with us every day and can't be put aside. The end.
Very true. That's very true.
Certainly want to work on that. But the idea is there.
Transactional analysis, the parent, the adult and the child that we're triadicing and balancing within.
Oh, that had something going for it when it was done as games people play or scripts people
That's right,
live.
Eric Byrne.
Because that was quite insightful stuff. Actually helped you on your way a bit.
So this following poem was written there in 2021, May, and it was after a local lady, Carolyn, I think her name's Palm or something like that. She was a potter from out west. Told me this story about the pole painter who wasn't a pothole plugger. Driving down the main street, I hit a pothole in my car. My tyre deflated, the rim was bent. I wasn't going far. I saw a council worker who was painting poles beside potholes. I walked over to him and asked, "Why don't you fill the potholes?" He replied, "I'm Peter Pole Painter. Filling holes is not my job. There's another fella who fills holes and his name is Bob." Feeling so frustrated, I began to rant and scream, "You both work for the council. Am I living in a dream?" Peter the Pole Painter said, "There's nothing I can do. If I filled the potholes, there'd be one job and not two. There would be no one for me to stand about with and chat. Me or Bob would have no job and only one hard hat." Further down the road I met Mick, the supervisor. He referred me on to his overseer, whose name was Eliza. Eliza said she couldn't help because it's not her job. You need to see the overseer of Pothill Filler Bob. The overseer of potholes said, "You must fill in a form. It could take a month or more. I feel I must inform. Then I must send the form right down through the line. Getting potholes filled by Bob is going to take some time." I stormed into the council chambers, didn't give a greeting. All the councillors were there gathered in a meeting. "Your potholes all need filling. They have stuffed my tyre. How can I get potholes filled? This council's a quagmire." Peter, the Pole Painter, said, "Potholes is not my job. Eliza referred me to the overseer of pothole filling Bob. Getting potholes filled is appearing quite remote." The mayor stood up and answered, "Let's put this to a vote. I move that the council pays to fix the tyre of Caroline. Bob is on long service leave and this could take some time. The councillors all voted to pay for my tyre repair, and the potholes still aren't fixed, much to my despair. Well, all the poles in town have a brand new coat of paint. Apart from all the potholes, our town is looking quaint. Bob has just retired and they've advertised his job. The only applicant was Peter, who's replacing Bob. And I'm the guerrilla sign-in plant all around the town, putting signs by all the potholes like, "Don't swim here, you'll drown," and "Just last week, this pothole swallowed a school bus." And people come from far and wide just to photograph the fuss. Peter's now a pothole plugger, plugging our potholes. Bob's son Patrick is painting poles. He used to work at Coles. The council is now bankrupt and under administration, still is overstaffed and no change to the situation. And this is what is happening to your taxes and rates. It's time to streamline government, abolish councils in the states. The truth is, council is overstaffed, and this is not a joke. Too many layers of bureaucracy mean this country's going broke. So yeah, that was inspired by Carolyn Palmer, that one. And pretty much the story as she told it to put into rhyming verse. Now, what else have I got you in? I have got one more here for you before we knock off for the evening. And I was going to go back to something that I wrote this week. So I'll have to go and take you right back to the start of my iPad's photographs. Come on, quickly. At last. So I'm waiting for Sky. I'm Thundercloud. I'm waiting for Sky to get back. She's been away. She should be back today or tomorrow morning, I hope. Anyway, I was talking on the phone with her, sitting out the front just after I'd eaten a salad the other day, eaten some lettuce. And yeah, this is what happened while I was talking to Sky on the phone. I was sitting in the street and I got a surprise running down the road. It was a hair before my eyes. I whipped out my phone and I did 2 clicks. As the hair was running past, I got 2 pics. Lucky it was late, the road was quiet, well, that hare might not have made it home that night. Seeing a hare in the street was a little funny. At first I thought it was a dog, then a bunny. Ran around the corner and into the park. It was late afternoon, but not yet dark. I've now got 2 photos of a hare on my phone. The hare is probably safe and warm at home. And that's that. Yeah, true. I was sitting there and I looked up the road and there comes this hare running down just the middle of the road, right over where there wouldn't be a white line if there was a white line. So,
I thought you were talking about this.
no, a real hare, like a,
Jackrabbit.
Friend of a rabbit, yeah. Yeah. Oh, and I mean, it's Christmas, isn't it? I suppose I could end. I did write a profane Aussie Christmas wish. So, yeah, I'll have to give a warning for this. All right, people in out there in YouTube land, this poem has swearing. Yeah, it's like, typical Australian working class humour. At first I thought, and this was inspired by Dave, who's one of my stallholders on the market, and he told me a poem, something funny about Christmas, and I can't remember what it was anyway, but this is what came out, profane Aussie Christmas wish. At first I thought I'd give you a card with money, but I thought you'd like to hear something funny. So I wrote you this poem instead. Merry Christmas, dickhead. I know you'd love a fishing rod, a Barbie or a bike, but instead I've got you something that I'm sure you'd really like. I've been looking all around on a gift hunt, but found Zip, so happy Christmas, cunt. I would have wrapped it up, but can't wrap words. I definitely considered a mesh bag of wet turds, or a bowl of cat vomit mixed with dog shit, but instead, Merry Christmas, fuckwit. Thank you very much.
It was quite restrained.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah, you know, it's just an insulting Aussie Christmas, profane Aussie Christmas wish. So, yeah. All right, well, and really, Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Happy Hanukkah, Salam Alaikum as well, because may the peace of Allah be upon all of us.
Gung-ho fat joy for next February.
Yeah, that too, yeah. That's
Chinese New Year.
Yeah, I've got 2 birthdays this year in the Chinese New Year. Yeah. Because last year I had none.
Ah, I see what you mean. Yeah,
because I'm. All right, well, thank you very much for joining us out there in YouTube land. Give it a like, a thumbs up, and make sure you, if you're not a subscriber, you subscribe. And leave a comment too. Thank you very much. And we'll see you next week.
I'm supposed to be going to Cairns.
Oh, that's lucky.